Okay everyone, I'm Lily's Clop, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make the perfect steak. So for this recipe, you're going to need, first of all, you're going to need steaks, and then salt and pepper, one of your favorite barbecue sauces, whiskey, whatever you prefer, your priority, some hot sauce or Tabasco, some red wine or red wine vinegar, and optional is some liquid smoke. In addition to that, you're going to need a bag for marinating and a bowl for mixing your marinade in. Alright, so before we get into it, let's first talk about the steak. When you're going out to buy your steak, you can buy whatever steak you want, but always avoid the grass-fed, leaner meat, since although less fat, it'll be healthier for you, you'll get a much drier steak. So come to look for a steak that has good fat in between the meat, good marbling, preferably an A-class meat, and that'll automatically get you a much better steak. Alright, so before you can begin, just take a little bit of salt, kind of in the palm of your hand like this, and just sprinkle it on both sides of this steak like this. And do the same to the other side. And do the same thing with your pepper, just a couple grinds. Kind of rub it in between the meat. And do the same thing to both sides. Now this here is butt steak. It's one of the best steaks for marbling, so you can see the fat is in between the meat. This is definitely probably from an Angus cow, since they are known for the best marbling steaks. Alright, so then you take your bowl, and I'll just move the steak out of the way for the time being. And first you take your favorite barbecue sauce and just shake about ½ a cup into your bowl. This will just give it that good old barbecue steak flavor. Okay. Then take your red wine or red wine vinegar. Now, what red wine or any alcohol does is it goes into the meat and works as a tenderizer and also as a flavor. So if you have a specific wine you're particular to, then you can go ahead and use that wine. Now put in about 1/4 cup of red wine or red wine vinegar. Okay. Then add about ½ teaspoon of hot sauce. If you like spicier steak, go ahead and add a bit more, but I'm not too bold that way. Just gives it that little bit of a kick to it. Alright, and then we're going to add whiskey. So I have two kinds of whiskey here. It doesn't matter what you use. You can use, like, this is Jack Daniels and this is George Smith Original Malt Whiskey. It doesn't really matter. It does the same thing. What it does is the wine works on the meat, the whiskey works on the fat. Whiskey has a little bit more of a bite to it and it tenderizes the fat in the steaks, just again getting nice. So I'm going to use the Jack Daniels Tennessee Honey, and I'll put in again kind of about 1/4 cup for my marinade. And then after this, if you have any particular spices or whatever you want to add to it, you can go ahead and add that, but steak doesn't need to be hard. Steak is really simple to make a good steak. So I'm not going to add it, and what I do is grab a fork. Just give that a good mix so you can mix all your alcohols with everything else in there. So then what you do is you just pour the mixture into the bag and add the steaks to it. It should be just enough just to lightly coat the two steaks. The steak doesn't have to be drowning in the marinade. That's not the point. Alright, there you go. Add this into the mix. And all you want to do is kind of get any air bubbles out of there so the liquid stays directly around the steaks. And just put it in the fridge and let it sit for 24 hours, and then we'll show you how to barbecue. Alright, so it's the next day and the meat has been marinating all night. So what I've done now is I've taken the meat out of the marinade and placed it on a plate here. And I have a separate plate so the meat is done. And what I did here is I took the extra marinade and poured it into a dish, and I'll use this in my basting sauce. So I just use that to keep the meat moist while it's on barbecuer. So I have this heated up to about 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And what I'll do is I'll just place the meat at a 45-degree angle on the grill. And don't be scared if there is some flames, because since it was marinated in alcohol, there might be some flames. And just put a little bit of the marinade on there. And let it sit for about 2 minutes. And then once that's sit for 2 minutes, I'll just show you. You rotate it the opposite 45-degree angles, and that gives you the classic crisscross charcoal shape on the other side of the meat. Like that. So I'll let that sit for about another 2 minutes, and then I'll flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. So in order to tell if your meat is done, the easiest way to do that is not by cutting into your meat, because by cutting into your meat, this will allow the moisture to escape and you'll just get a drier steak. So basically what you can do is grab your hand and touch your thumb to your pointer finger together, and then feel this. Feel this gooey spot right here. This is rare. This is medium rare, this is medium, and this is well done. So all you gotta do is squeeze this, give your steak a squeeze, and if it's about the same, that's a good indicator of how well done your meat is. Alright, so I'll finish frying this up and I'll be right back. Alright, so here's our 2 done, perfectly good steaks, and I'm going to cut in the inside to see how we did for, there we go. Perfectly done, medium rare steaks. Enjoy, everyone.